Hi there, I'm Mary Susie from Bead Me a Story, and today I'm going to show you how to make these tri-flower earrings. I'll show you a little close-up. I'm doing a few versions of this week, and that is because I started adding beads. So these are actually tri-flower beaded earrings. And in this particular one, I'm playing around on each one with the sizes of the jump rings slightly. So I've got 20 gauge 3/16, 20 gauge 1/8, which is the size that I've traditionally used in this. And then on all of the outsides, I believed I used 20 gauge 7/64 for the outside jump ring. So this is the largest, medium, and smallest, okay? And with each pair of earrings that I'm playing with, I am doing slight variations on that, and that's basically to facilitate. These are Toho demi rounds, and this week I'm using Toho demi rounds. I'm using Miyuki spacer beads as well, and these are very skinny beads. This is a size 8 bead, so it matched the seed bead size as far as being about a 3mm size bead, but you can see it's very, very skinny. And the Toho beads are very rounded, whereas the Miyuki spacer beads are flat, or I actually have some triangle ones I'll be showing you in another video. So just to kind of cover the variations that I'm trying to create. This is a piece of beadalon wire or tiger tail. I like to use for this project a 49 strand or possibly a 17 strand of this. We just want it to be a little bit thick, as opposed to the 0.012 thickness that you can get, or the 7 strand, which can be a little bit too thin. I just basically don't want you to tear it. Okay, so you can see that what I've done is put on a 7.4mm O-ring onto here, and I folded the beadalon in half, and then I used a 3mm O-ring, and I passed through that just like a needle. So you can see that I've offset this a little bit, and I'm just going to simply pull this O-ring over top of the 7.4mm O-ring, okay? And the other way I can do this, I'm just going to do a couple of these real quickly. The other way I can do this is I can do the exact same thing. If you're making a lot of pairs of earrings, you'll want to know this trick. And instead of using my right hand to pull it on, because this can be hard to grab onto on this side, I'm just using my pliers to hold on to it. Okay, and pull that on. So we're going to need 18 total of these little components for each pair of earrings that we do. And you can see on this particular version, I'm using like a tone on tone, just color on color, but you could be changing up the colors. Now, the other thing I want to show you, these are my 450 BN pliers. They have a very tiny tweezer nose tip. So basically what I did was pass them through the 3mm O-ring. I allow this to open, and I'm going to grab that 7.4mm O-ring with the pliers, and I'll pull that on this way. I think this way is a little bit harder to do, just because these are so small, but that's another way. So if you don't have any beadalon, or you didn't purchase the kit that comes with a little piece of beadalon, then that is another way to do it. Okay, so I'm just gonna move these last couple to the side, and we are going to start working with our medium-sized jump ring here. So this is our 20 gauge 1/8, and this is the first section where we're going to add some beads into it. But because I'm only adding 1 bead and not 3 beads to these little triangles I'm going to make, we didn't need to change the size of this jump ring the way it normally is when I do these all in rubber. Okay, so we can just keep the status quo, keep a 20 gauge 1/8 inch jump ring in play, and it'll work just fine, because again, we're only adding 1 bead. Okay, so the first I'm going to pick up the black. Now when I mount these O-ring components onto here, you can see I put one side onto the jump ring. I'm going to fold it in half, because we have that 3mm O-ring on here, we'll be able to do that. So I pick up the black, and then I'm going to pick up a bead. And then I'm going to pick up another black, again folding it in half. Squeezing everything on there. I'm going to choke up. I want to try and grab this jump ring as high to the top here on the right side as possible, because I've got one more O-ring component to add on to here, and this time it's going to be the blue. So 2 black and 1 blue, and that gold bead sat between the 2 black. Now, in order to close this, I'm going to use the table to help me hold this in place to get my pliers in here and grab onto this other side. And you will probably need something to push against in order to hold that all in place. But don't let that scare you. I have taught this to like literally first time beginners, and everybody was able to do it. So I think you'll be just fine. May just take you a few tries. And really, the biggest warning I want to give you is that when you come in with these second pliers, just make sure every time you grab onto something when you're making these earrings, make sure you're grabbing onto metal and not onto the rubber. If you grab onto the rubber, you can tear it, and then you're going to lose your rubber O-rings, or the earrings are going to fall off at the end. Okay, so this is all there is to making these sections, is that we're just simply going to keep going with the black, and then a gold bead, another black, and a blue. And you can get pretty fast at this. Okay, I use my table to hold everything in place. And then I close. Okay, so I'm going to need 6 of those. As I said, I made 18 of these components to work with, and I'm going to be making 6 of these triangles. Now, I have pre-made some, so let me just scooch these out of the way and bring in the finished ones. Okay, so what we want to basically do is, I have made the center jump ring that we're going to use in this particular earring larger. So I'm using a 20 gauge 3/16 jump ring. Normally, had I been doing it all in just rubber, I would have used a 20 gauge 5/32 jump ring. And what I am going to be doing, and the reason I went larger, is because I want to add 3 beads to the center, just to give this a little bit of sparkle in the center. So you can see over here, you're seeing some of the jump ring come through, so you get a little sparkle from that, but adding some additional bead sparkle is going to just add that little bit of extra to these. Okay, and then you see I'm lining these up so that I've got 2, 2, and 2. So I wish I could have fit 6 beads into the center, but that's not possible with the standard sizes in anodized aluminum. So I'm just simply adding the 3, and honestly it looks great, and it's plenty. So okay, so what I'm going to do is pick up a bead first. Okay, and then I want the blue. You notice when I place these, all the blue was facing into the center. So I am going to pass through the 3mm O-ring of the blue part of the triangle. And I'm going to push all this up as far as I can. I'm going to need to squeeze all this stuff onto here. Okay, so that's 2 of my triangles. I'm going to add another bead to this. And then I'm going to add 2 more triangles. 1, 2. And now I'm adding my 3rd bead. and then I'm going to add the final 2. So we added 6 triangles to this center jump ring. Okay, and then I'm going to bring in my pliers and close this jump ring. Okay, and I want to close this carefully because it's large and skinny. It can take you a little bit more time to line it up and make sure that everything is correct. But once you get it in place, you'll be all set. Just spend a little bit of extra time with that one. Okay, so now that it's all on, I'm going to kind of space everything back out. Okay, so that I have a circle again. And now I'm going to go ahead and bring in my 20 gauge 7/64 jump rings. So again, I'm going to need, just like when I made my triangles, I needed 6. Now I need 6 of these, and we're going to be connecting the outsides of the triangles together. And I'm going to be adding some beads to both the inside and the outside of these. Okay, so each one of these is going to end up with 3 of the beads. So I'm going to first pick up 2 beads, and these are the ones that you're going to see on the outside. So see how you get little beads fringing the outside of this? So what I'm doing is just looking for one of these 3mm O-rings that's on the outside. We're going to end up connecting to this triangle to this 3mm O-ring, and then connecting over here to this triangle. So we're basically linking all the triangles together. So I'm going to pass through this 3mm O-ring that's closest to me, and I'm going to feed this jump ring in as far as I can to be able to still comfortably hold on to the jump ring on the starting end. And then I'm going to pick up 1 more bead before I pass through the next 3mm O-ring. And then I'm going to pass through that O-ring. So see how that puts that bead on the inside? And so those beads that we added to the triangle now become a part of this circle. Okay, so see that? So I'll do 1 more just to show you. Again, pick up a jump ring. These are our smallest, our 7/64. Pick up 2 beads. Okay, and I'm just going to move up to the next 3mm O-ring that hasn't been used on the outside edge. I'm going to pass through that. Push the jump ring through as much as I can. I'm going to pick up another bead and then pass through the next 3mm O-ring in the circle. Okay? And then close that jump ring. We're going to do that all the way around. Okay? And then we're going to end up with this. And then I just want to point out, you know, at the end, we'll add our ear wire to this. And then just make sure that you pay attention to the orientation of these 3 center beads. So I like to pass through the jump ring that's above this single one here. Then that way these 2 are off to the side. Okay, so that's all there is to this version. I really like how this color came out. It's very celestial looking. So I think this particular pair of earrings would be great if you were wearing mixed metals with blues and silvers and golds and black. So I think that even though these are gold, you're going to find that this really mixes with a lot of different metals extremely well. So I hope you've enjoyed this project. As I said, I've put a couple others out this week for you to give a try to, and I will see you next time. Thanks so much for joining me.